Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Full Circle with Joyce, and thank you again for your company. Now, Dr. Esther Mushemi is the Group CEO of Samchi Group Limited, and it is a group that comprises diverse companies, including Samchi Jumo and Merged Telecoms, Samchi Credit, Samchi Height, After 40 Hotel, Elroy Plaza, Heavenly Wings Food, and Samchi Digital. In many regards, she is a mover and a shaker, and it's my honor to talk to her this morning. Karibu sana to the show, Dr. Esther.
Asante, Joyce. I'm
It's
delighted
really
to be
great
here.
to have you. Karibu sana to the show. And you know, there's a lot of young people that look up to you, both men and women, just from your story. And I want you to share that with them, because one of the things a lot of us are really struggling with is, when do I know if it's okay to quit my job? At what point do I make that decision that it is time for me to walk away from this and perhaps try something else? And the truth is, you were confronted with such a decision earlier on in your life.
Yes, I had to make that decision somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
My background is that I am a BCom accounting option from the University of Nairobi, and therefore I worked for 10 years as an auditor. I started from an audit trainee, and by the time I quit my job, I was a salaried partner. And why did I quit my job? Because along the way, I always thought and I always wanted to be profit sharing partner. That is the highest rank that you can be in an audit firm. And
So not a salary partner, but a profit sharing.
yes, a salary partner is a fairly high position.
Yeah.
I was earning good money. I still say that it was good money then, and even today it would still have been good money.
Yeah.
But there's one thing that I always knew, even when I was a young girl, that I used to tell myself that, Esther, you are meant for greatness. You are created for greatness. And in a time my greatness is threatened, I feel that I need to take responsibility, and I need to be accountable to myself, and I need to do what I must do to become the great person that I wanted to be, I ever want to be. And so I waited for 3 years. The boardroom conversations were good because I was good. But then to move to that next level, it was never happening. And at that point, I then said, I need to do what I must do. And what did I need to do? I needed to quit, because it's only by quitting that I would have come back and be myself. And so I made that decision, and then I quit.
Okay.
Then I was quitting to go where? At that point, I didn't have the absolute clarity of where I wanted to
Really?
go. But
Wow.
the thing that was driving me then is that I was feeling underutilized. I am not myself. I am not able to influence my growth in my career. And that
Okay.
is what was harassing me.
Okay.
So when I quit, I obviously did the obvious, and the obvious was to set up an audit firm, and that audit firm was called Esther Mushemi and Company. I knew that is not my final adding point, but I needed to engage in what I knew best.
Right.
And so I worked on that for 5 years.
Okay.
And for 5 years, I did my very best. I gave it my very best. I always say the only thing I came out with that I can remember is that I bought my first Mercedes Benz.
Okay.
With the money that I earned then.
Yeah.
And then after that, telecommunication.
Yeah.
Safaricom was relaunching. But just before they came in, I then decided there is an opportunity here. And again, I did not know much about telecommunication. I'm not a telecommunication engineer by
Right. You're an auditor.
I'm not. I'm an auditor. I'm an accountant.
Right.
And you know, accountants, we are introverts. And now I'm
Yes.
jumping into this unknown thing, and I am daring to get into it. And I opened a shop in Ginyo Towers on Koinange Street. That is when I started facing the music, because pressure from the family,
Yeah.
pressure from peer pressure, because how can a professional that has truly made it and looking upward moving start at Dukawala, where I was the only employee? I used to open the shop, clean the shop, buy the stock,
Hold on a
bank the
minute.
money.
After buying a
and
Benz, now you're the one doing all those
exactly.
things.
Here I am, Joyce, doing all that.
Okay.
And that's
How did that feel for you? Did
for
it
me,
feel...
I think I was comfortable with it. And let me tell you why I was comfortable with it. Because I knew and I was sure on what I was looking for. And there's one thing that I always say. It is not the position I am in now that is important. It's not where I start that is important. It is where I will add that is important. And if you read, for example, my book, Give Me My Mountain, one question I tell people to ask themselves is, what is your end game? As long as you know your end game, the rest and in between are just steps that you need to take, are just sacrifices, are just decisions that you need to make because you are not losing focus on where you want to
You're
be.
not distracted by the fact
I'm
that
not distracted.
you're the one opening the shop. You know where it's taking
Yes,
you to.
in fact, I say at that point, you reach a point in your life where the distractions, you no longer hear the distraction because the passion in you, the determination in you is so loud that the distractions now become so quiet that even when people talk, and in fact, I usually say the dogs can continue barking. I'm not calling people dogs, but I'm saying, you see, dogs can bark, but that does not mean they are biting you.
Wow.
So just block your ears from the barking, because surely the noise is there from the barking. But as long as you know where you are going, remain focused, remain consistent, and you will get there.
Amazing, amazing story there, Dr. Esther. And in fact, when I mentioned you were coming onto the show earlier, someone here was just saying they're really waiting for this conversation with you because you're an inspiration to many, especially ZTech University students. And they asked me to say hello to you and ask when you'll be visiting them again.
ZTech University, yes.
Yes, but I want to take you back a little bit to when you were working in this audit firm. I mean, you've risen up the ranks, even to be a woman in such a position, whether you're salaried salaried partner or a profit-sharing partner. I mean, that is a huge achievement on its own, right? We know the disparities between men and women in the workplace and even men and women's pay. But there's something very interesting you mentioned, because today we're talking about when to know it's time to quit, right? When to know. Many of us have those dreams. We want to manage our own time. We want to be our own bosses. We want to show up to the office whenever we feel like, or that's at least what we think about it. But a lot of the times, one of the signs, you could say, for us beginning to think that, hey, you know what, maybe it's time for me to quit this place, is when we begin to not be as productive in our work, or maybe when our performance is dropping. Perhaps we're usually overachievers, but suddenly now we see that we're just doing the bare minimum, we're just going with the flow. But you mentioned something different. You mentioned that you were actually killing it. Like, you were doing really, really well.
Yes, absolutely.
You were still performing.
I was still performing.
But the reason you wanted was you felt
I had
underutilized.
absolutely very good relationships with my partners.
Yeah.
And I've said the boardroom conversation is I was good. And I could not explain why this was not happening. And because I didn't want to continue depending on people to determine my journey, I realized, and this is something I like telling people, you must stop blaming everybody for your position.
Come on.
Many of us will blame our teachers.
Yeah.
We will blame our parents. We will blame our employers. We will blame everybody else except ourselves.
Right.
So many times I would urge somebody, sit back. I always say, call yourself for a meeting and ask yourself, where do I want to be? Once you decide where you want to be, do what you must do. There's something I have said in my book where I say, it will reach a point where, like Esther of the Bible, you'll say, if I perish, I perish. By the time you get that level, Joyce, believe you me, you have searched yourself 1,001 times. You have searched yourself and asked yourself, how will I pay my rent when I quit this job?
Yeah.
How will I pay the school fees when I quit this job? How did I prepare myself for that?
Yeah.
I prepared myself for that because I knew I was earning a high salary. I knew my standard of living was up there. But there's one thing I always say, Joyce. I earned a high salary. But beginning of the month, I had a high salary. I had money in my pocket. End of the month, I had nothing. How that used to happen, even today, I cannot tell. But it was a cycle every month.
When you were employed?
When I was employed.
You start with money, you finish without money.
You know,
yeah.
When I quit, I necessarily did not have that huge money.
Right.
That big money.
Yeah.
But there is something that puts you and makes you to be in control. So what then did I do? I decided I am going to live my life as I can afford it. So one thing I did, tear my credit cards.
Wow.
And I mean literally, you take the scissors,
Chop them up.
chop them up.
Okay.
Of course, the places I could go, I also curtailed myself. Why? If I was a member of the clubs, because then I could afford it, or maybe they were paid for. Now I am here, I can afford it. I refuse to be put under social pressure, and therefore I said, for this one, for now,
Yeah.
I am not in it. Thank God my children were not in very expensive school.
Yeah.
And that's also important for me, just to demonstrate how you can be able to work it out.
Okay.
As my children were not in very expensive school. But I can tell you, Joyce, by the time they went to the high school, they were in the top most expensive school in this country. And after that, they went to the expensive university. Why am I saying that? It's not from a position of pride. I'm saying that from a position so that people can understand that you can actually start from here and get to somewhere as long as you remain focused and
On
you are
where you're
determined.
going.
So to answer your question, when do you know it's okay
To quit.
to quit? There is no clear answer. You each one of us need to analyze themselves, validate why they are where they are, and to the extent that you can understand, you make the dive. That is important for me, to the extent you can understand. Because at times, people tend to overanalyze. And when you overanalyze, because that's what I say, what happens is you validate the fears that you are fearing. I'm sure you get what I mean.
Absolutely.
You validate the fears that you... So I always recommend, once you do that analysis, once you understand, take the first step. My journey is about taking a first step. And when you take a first step, get into it. The rest you learn when you are there. Allow me to talk about something that I didn't know that was so engraved in young people's mind until I wrote a book and put a position there. And the position I said, and what I said is, I do not believe in side hustles. Oh, I didn't know that subject is so...
That's huge. That's what a lot of us are living on.
I didn't understand that is so controversial until I started having interviews like this, until I started holding talks, and people are all over me and they want to challenge that position.
Because that's the reason people quit, is to go and do their side hustle.
Absolutely. The side hustles that I'm really against for is where you are doing as more of this, as more of that. For example, when you are working, and this is, for me, sometimes I say it's almost a moral position that you take, because I do believe you cannot serve two masters perfectly. You are only a human being. You have two eyes, you have two hands. Therefore, when you start dividing your attention, there is only so much that you can do. Let me tell you what I feel. For example, when I was working, I gave my very best. Because I gave my very best, even the employer will see that you are giving your very best. And on the basis of that, you get promotions, you get salary increase because you are giving your very best. But when you are not giving your very best, you remain at a substandard level, and you are trying to work out something substandard somewhere else and hoping that it will match and become a bigger something.
I'm so glad that you're the one saying that, because one of the struggles that I feel like we need to confront here in Kenya is this bare minimum mentality.
Absolutely.
Like, just because unajua kazi yako ni 8 to 5, so 5 o'clock ikifika, whether you finished your tasks for the day, you're out of the door. Or you know that unalipa, so you just come to work and you're like, bora tu nilipo at the end of the month. But I love that it is coming from you as someone who has lived out this life, that's saying, you know what, she was a salaried partner, still giving her all when she knew that there was, and I really appreciate that the reason you said you quit your job was not because that all my colleagues are sengenyeng me in the corner, or oh, my boss, you know, he's not even nice to me, he favors someone else. You quit because you felt underutilized. That is such a powerful statement for so many of us young people to appreciate, and it ties back to what you've just said. Are you giving your all?
Absolutely.
And when you are, if there's no space for you, then that might be a good sign for that you've outgrown the space that you're in.
Absolutely. But you know what? I think I feel that is exaggerated. I am an employer today. I employ over 500 people.
Wow.
I interview people on a daily basis. And this is what I tell people, that when I'm putting you into my employment, my agenda is right. My purpose, my reason is right.
Yeah.
So I would not put you in a job and then create an environment for you not to be successful.
Absolutely.
Surely I would be foolish. You get what I mean?
It's your business.
It's my business.
Absolutely.
And because I talk to many employers, I feel that is the attitude that we have. That our motive is to make people successful.
Yeah.
But it's up to you as an individual.
Yeah.
Do you have the right motive also as you sit on that desk? If
Dr.
you do,
oh my goodness, this conversation, we need so much more time. Unfortunately, our time is just disappeared like this. But this is what happens when you have great conversations.
Right.
There's feedback here. You know, someone saying here, this is what I really needed to hear. Thanks, Joyce, for bringing Dr. Esther Mushemi to the show. She is such an inspiration to many. That's Terry tuned in from Zimmerman. And someone here saying the show is great and wow. We always think after O-level and university college, we look for jobs, forgetting that we can actually employ ourselves.
Absolutely.
And we don't have the right time for quitting. You only decide at the right time. Very powerful statements from you here, Dr. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry, our time is finished, and I need to wrap up this segment. But let me know if you'd love to have her back. Would you be willing to come back?
Absolutely.
Great. I think there's a lot of young people that would learn from you.
I mean, that's the reason that I love this now.
Great. And you can also get her book. It's called Give Me This Mountain. How do they get it?
Give Me My Mountain.
Give Me My Mountain.
Yeah. At the moment, it's in all the major bookshop.
Great.
Textbook Center, Prestige, and yes.
Great.
Yes.
Please do go out and get the book. This woman has nuggets of wisdom to share with you, especially if you're a budding entrepreneur. Asante sana for your time. We do appreciate you. All right, guys, we need to take a short break now as we get ready for the top of the hour. Masaya napotea tu hivyo, but we still have a lot coming for you. I'll see you at the top of the hour.